Hey Toy fans, D21 Beast Rob here, back with another vlog for you guys. I know it's been a while since I've done anything, about a week actually. I'd actually been pretty sick, a lot sicker than I wanted to be, and I was having trouble recording a review. I started a Whirlwind video, and I'm going to go ahead and get that finished very soon, so you guys have that review coming up. As you can see here, I still have Sharon Carter, and I've got Morbius coming up. But a lot's happened in the last weekend and the last week that I've been gone. Toy Fair just took place, and I think the last day of it's still today, but basically the whole thing's over. And we got the Deadpool movie, which is just killing it in box office records. So very happy to see that movie doing very well. Honestly, I think the character of Deadpool deserves it. I think Ryan Reynolds finally deserves a hit. And I just was really happy that we got that sort of movie. I'm a big fan of Colossus, and I loved seeing him in the film. I think he was used very well. When initially the film was starting production, I was a bit upset that Daniel Cudmore wasn't even asked really to come back. He kind of had to find out about it on social media. But having seen the film, I think Colossus was used in a really great way. I loved the way that they used his accent, and he was really just kind of a very heartful character like he is in the comics, so they used that to great effect. And all of the references in the film, everything from previous movies that Ryan Reynolds has done to references to the comics. I'm kind of mixed if I should be doing a spoiler comment at all, but let's just say there's a character from Deadpool lore that shows up towards the end of the film that I just wasn't expecting to see at all, and I thought that was really fun to actually get that character at the end. There's also a great joke involving the villain's name towards the end of the movie that I thought was pretty funny. So just, it's a really good film in general. If you guys somehow haven't seen that yet, you definitely want to go check it out. But it was a really cool film. I can't wait to see it again, and can't wait to see the next Deadpool movie, honestly. So it's nice to see that Fox went ahead and let this film get made and speak for itself, as it were. I'm sure it had a lot to do with how small the budget was. If this had been a $200 million film, I'm sure they would have been in there rewriting and changing and doing all sorts of things, kind of like what happened with X-Men Origins Wolverine, and even to some extent with The Wolverine that came out with the Giant Silver Samurai. That was the end of that movie. But again, very happy to see how well that movie did. So if you guys liked it, awesome. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comments below what your kind of gripes about it were. I'm curious to see. But yeah, enough about that movie. I was pretty happy with it, and I can't wait to see a sequel. But on top of that, of course, we had Toy Fair. There was a lot of information that came out of Toy Fair. A lot of surprises, I think, that came out of Toy Fair. We did finally get a look at the X-Men Legends wave of Marvel Legends figures coming this summer. There were, 7 figures they showed off, I think? 6 or 7. They didn't show us a Wolverine, and we had seen through product listings that a Wolverine was on the way. So, that may still be coming. But, and I think it is. I think they said in an interview, but who knows when we're going to get that. I hope we don't have to wait to San Diego Comic-Con, because that would suggest that the X-Men Legends wave isn't even coming out till after that. So hopefully we get more information on that soon. They did not show the Build-A-Figure. I know a lot of people are speculating that it's Apocalypse. I'm still not convinced of that. We'll see. I mean, it makes sense if it were Apocalypse, but maybe we'll still get a redo of Juggernaut or something coming out of that wave. So more information on that coming. Also, it's kind of interesting with Colossus being a main figure of the Deadpool film that he wasn't somehow integrated into this line. If they made Colossus the Build-A-Figure, honestly, that'd be fine, but that's not a figure that I feel like we really need a redo of at this point. And if the figure is going to be built big enough that it needs to be a Build-A-Figure, then I suppose we could just sub in our Marvel Select Colossus figure, which is a really phenomenal figure. So hopefully we get somebody that we're really, really anxious for. But as far as the figures go, let's talk about, I guess, each figure in that wave. There's a Cable that got announced, and I know a few people were scratching their heads about Cable. It does appear to be the Extinction Agenda version of Cable from the Avengers crossover story, where he's got more of the techno-organic virus kind of taking over his face, which honestly I think was kind of a cool look for the character. I don't think they picked him because of that storyline, though. I think they picked that look because of the Deadpool video game. That was the main look for Cable in that game, so it makes sense, I guess, with that resurgence in popularity of that character, Deadpool, that is, that they would pick a character from a recently released Deadpool video game. So when people go back and play that game, there's a kind of an association. That's just me, because I think there are definitely more iconic looks for Cable that we have yet to receive. But it's still a really cool looking figure, and I'm definitely glad that they're making that. I can't wait to get that in my hands. We also saw that they are going to be doing Phoenix. It is a green version of Phoenix. She seems to be reusing the exact same hair sculpt that we got with the Jim Lee Phoenix from the Rocket Raccoon wave, but the rest of the figure appears to be reused pieces from the Miss Marvel body mold or just brand new pieces created for that figure. So gotta be honest, when it comes to Jean or Phoenix, that's probably the figure I'm the least interested in this wave. I think the Toy Biz Phoenix was actually still a pretty good figure. I mean, it hasn't aged as well as some other female figures have, or as well as the recent offerings from Hasbro, but I don't know that we really needed a new Jean Grey right now. There's other characters they could have hit. Next in the line, we had Iceman, and I think Iceman is probably next to the Jim Lee Rogue. I go back and forth on it, but I think he's definitely the best male figure coming out from the wave. He seems to be using the Spider-Man body mold. He's got spikes around his shoulders, and he's got the sort of spiky hairstyle. He definitely looks like Iceman, really out of the modern comics. Not teenage Iceman, the all-new version, but the way the Iceman, the adult version, has been drawn. So I'm looking forward to getting that. It is on clear plastic, though, and I kind of wish they wouldn't have gone that route just because it tends to be more brittle. I've owned a couple of Iceman figures, but they always seem to break. So I'm hoping that this one can actually hold up. But we also received from that same line the Jim Lee Rogue, as I mentioned. It looks the same as it did at New York Comic Con, so happy to see that that's still doing all right. We also had Shadowcat announced, and honestly, Shadowcat's a figure that I had back during the Giant Man wave. I never took her out of the box, but I was never very happy with how she looked. I mean, she didn't really look like a Shadowcat to me. I mean, she had the right colors and everything, but this new Shadowcat coming out definitely looks like the all-new X-Men Shadowcat, the leader of the all-new X-Men, and I love that she's got Lockheed with her. Really looking forward to that figure. I think they got the hair sculpt pretty nice on that figure, so happy to see that coming. We also got to look at a new Havoc figure. He appears to be the Uncanny Avengers version of Havoc, and he's got some elements of his costume that are typically three-dimensional, have been just kind of applied as a paint deco on this figure, and I don't know that I really like that, but you'll see around the waist, his belt is just kind of painted on. The piping on his boots is just painted on, but he does have some actual blast effects that attach around his wrist. So that's pretty cool. I like to see that Hasbro's giving us more of those sort of power stylized effects, kind of like we saw with Scarlet Witch and with Doctor Strange. So I hope we get more of that moving forward. And lastly, for the X-Men Legend figures, we also got our first look at the new Deadpool figure. I think the head sculpt looks great. I love the extra pieces, the belt work that's on him, and it looks like he's got some holsters for some extra weapons. But we actually learned, and I've got to give UltimateToyCollector some credit here, through an interview that took place with Hasbro after the initial showing of these Marvel Legends figures, that a lot of Legends now are going to be coming with weapons that are either like space pistols or modern weapons, realistic-looking weapons with really wild colors, in an effort to be more appeasing to the family audience that would be picking up Marvel Legends for their children, or people just not as familiar with the characters. They're trying to kind of play down the war angle of these things. So even though Deadpool has a lot of holsters, I'm curious to see what weapons are actually going to fit into those holsters, and it's also possibly telling that they didn't show that to us on the show floor. That same interview that Ultimate Toy Collector posted, and I'll put a link to it in below this video, we heard that Rogue is going to have a removable hand, so you can actually have her with her glove off, you know, like you'd see in the 90s animated series or in the comics when she tries to steal somebody's power. So I think that's a nice touch. But overall, I'm a big fan of the X-Men Legends that we've gotten to look at. I can't wait to get all of those figures, and still very interested to see a confirmation on what the actual Build-A-Figure is going to be. But Marvel Legends news didn't stop there, and I'm not going to spend a lot more time on it. I'm mostly into the X-Men when it comes to that, but it's worth noting that we did get a new teenage boy body mold that was shown off with the Ultimate Spider-Man Peter Parker and Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales using those molds. I'm sure we're going to see those molds used again in a animated series friendly version of Iron Fist coming out. We'll probably see a Nova with that body, and you know, you could see the Young Avengers or any plethora of teenage characters. Maybe they could even go back and redo the all-new X-Men box set, this time putting them in their the costumes that Mohammed Asrar, I think I'm saying that name right, that he designed, you know, around issue 40 when they switched over to the black and white, and then each member had a specific color, like Angel was red and Jean was green. It'd be kind of cool to see those costumes used for a new box set with those version of the all-new X-Men, because the one we got from Target really kind of portrayed all the heroes as adults, when it was very clear in the comic that they were, you know, 14, 15, 16, and they were not that big yet. So still cool to see a new mold. We can probably get a lot of new characters out of that. We also saw that the 12-inch Marvel Legends are coming back. They're not calling them icons. I think they're just, I don't even think that they're giving them a special name. I think they're just saying they're the 12-inch scale. But we saw Captain America, Iron Man, and Spider-Man. Honestly, those are a bit of a snore for me. I'm not going to spend, you know, $40 or $50 on a 12-inch Marvel Legend figure, but it's nice that people have the option out there if they want to get a figure that's that big. We saw with the Doctor Strange wave that they're going to be doing Dormammu again, which I absolutely love. Personally, I'm bummed every time a San Diego box set comes out and there's a figure that I really want, like a Magic or Dormammu or Brother Voodoo, and I've just got no way to get them. Still wish I could have gotten Luke Cage from several years back, and I actually went to that Comic-Con. So it's nice to see that the Build-A-Figure for the Doctor Strange wave is going to be a Dormammu figure, that the paint effects appear to be just more metallic than what we got from the San Diego box set. Now, as a fan of the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting game series, I would have preferred the original Dormammu to add to my collection, but if all I can do is get the Build-A-Figure version and have a slightly more metallic version of the character, I'll take what I can get. So that'll be pretty cool. And then we also saw that there's a Silk figure coming out, a new Spider-Man wave. Silk will probably be the last figure that we need, really, to finish our Spider-Verse display, unless they decide to give us a Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman or something like that, or a Spider-Ham figure. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. So nice to see that figure coming along. I'm not super excited about it, but it's using, again, the female teenage body mold, and I wish that they would use that on a character that was actually appropriate for that body mold. I mean, they kind of stopped trying after Jubilee and just decided all the female Spider characters are going to get this mold that doesn't really articulate as well as it needs to. So, but I guess it's coming, and the head sculpt does look great. And then we also have a new Iron Fist coming using the Spider-Man Pizza Spidey body mold, and he's got some interchangeable translucent hands and some interchangeable bandaged hands. The figure does look really good, and I'll probably try to pick that up if I can. But then we have a Hobgoblin, and I actually think this Marvel Legend looks fantastic. I can't wait to get this Hobgoblin and the inevitable Green Goblin that's going to get released on this mold, but I love the way that they've done the chainmail on the legs and the arms, so a really cool looking figure overall. And then, of course, we got another look at the Civil War movie figures, Captain America, Black Panther, Iron Man, stuff that we've already all seen before. But they showed us Scarlet Witch, which looks really awesome. I like that she's got the effects for her hands. It looks like they've designed it to where her coat doesn't get in the way of any articulation, kind of like we saw with Star-Lord. Small tangent, that was only in the intro of the film, and then he had a short jacket the rest of the movie. The way production art works, I know that's probably all Hasbro had to design the figure, but it really sucks that Marvel Legends Star-Lord was a figure that was kind of limited by his costume design, we'll say. So I like that Scarlet Witch looks more maneuverable and posable with what they've got there. So we also got some information about some more store-exclusive Marvel Legends figures. We already knew that Namor was going to be at Walgreens, but now we know they're getting a Punisher as well. We saw that there's going to be a Walmart 2-pack that features, I think it's Winter Soldier and Falcon, new MCU versions of those characters. So that's pretty cool. I think it's Target that's going to be getting a new War Machine and Iron Man that are in a 2-pack. And then Toys R Us, I think, is set to get not a movie box set, but it's going to be Captain Falcon and a couple of other figures that escape me at the moment. That's going to be in a 3-pack available at that location. So Marvel Legends really rolling strong. I mean, it seems like we're getting a lot more figures now than we even did in the Toy Biz days. So that's pretty exciting. It's also very expensive. So I probably won't be able to pick up all of them myself. I'm sure you guys are all struggling to figure out how you're going to pay for everything too. So, but it's great to have options. That's kind of the best part about that. So moving away from Hasbro, which by the way, I still haven't seen any mashers from the show, but moving away from Hasbro, we had some nice reveals from Playmates. We saw that we're finally getting a Human Karai figure, which, why did it take this long to get that figure? But I'm kind of excited that that's coming out. Also, a big surprise for me from Playmates, and which kind of mixed in with their Ninja Turtle stuff, was these Okay, so let me backpedal a little bit. There's actually a toy line called the Team Machine line, and I've gotten a few of these for my son, but they're basically Ninja Turtle cars that have Ninja Turtle characters, plastic figures, half figures, I guess, that are kind of plugged into the top of the vehicle, and they've got racetracks for them and city sets and everything like that. But apparently Playmates has got the license to do WWE machines, which is kind of interesting, and it's going to be wrestlers in these little cars, so if you're a fan of wrestling, that may be something that's right up your alley, but it's kind of a surprise, I thought, and they didn't really make a big deal about announcing it, but it's an interesting toy that's on the way, so I had to mention that it was part of Playmates presentation, mixed in with their turtle stuff, strangely enough. And then moving on to Diamond Select, we got a lot of looks at all sorts of Minimates coming out. They're doing some X-Files Minimates. They're going to be doing Minimates for Captain America Civil War, which we already knew about. But they're actually doing an entire wave of giant-size X-Men Minimate figures. This is the second time that Diamond Select has done the giant-size X-Men in Minimate figure form. The first time they did it, though, we didn't get all the figures. We got Colossus, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, and Thunderbird. And now they're going to be doing everybody. We're getting redos of Thunderbird, we're getting Banshee, we're getting Cyclops, we're getting Wolverine, we're getting Storm, Sunfire, which is first time I think ever a Minimate figure for Sunfire. So everybody who is in Giant Size X-Men #1, at least as far as the new team of X-Men goes, is going to be part of this box set, and they all look fantastic. We don't see, the heroes that needed to be rescued. the original 4 X-Men, if you don't count Cyclops and Havoc and Polaris. They don't seem like they're going to be part of this, but we are going to be getting 2 packs of everyone else, and they say Diamond Select, Zach said that there's going to be interchangeable hair pieces and accessories, like energy effects and all that stuff. So really excited to see that wave of that wave of Minimates announced, and you'll probably see those coming to my channel as the year progresses. So I'm looking forward to those. Also, we saw they're really expanding the Muppets line. I'm not a fan personally. I mean, I like the Muppet movies fine, but they're actually going full on with more Minimates for Muppets. They're doing more select figures. We also saw from Star Trek that they are finally releasing more Minimates. We haven't had Minimates for Star Trek since 2012. And I've got to say, while it's great that we are getting Star Trek Minimate figures again, I'm just kind of bummed that they're choosing to go with a line of figures that we've already received in Minimate figure form multiple times since they started doing the Minimate figure line. I really want to get Star Trek characters that we've never seen in Minimate figure form, but hopefully these minifigures sell really well. If you guys are fans of Star Trek and fans of Minimate, please go out and buy these things so that they actually continue to make this line. And hopefully we'll get figures, that have never seen the light of day in Minimate form. So, but at least I'm glad to see that Diamond's still sticking to that. So they had kind of hinted at their 300 live blog that they weren't going to be able to do anything. And if this is all they can do, I'm glad they're at least able to do something. Moving on from Diamond Select, there's a couple of other quick hits I wanted to mention, things that stuck out to me. We saw with the Imaginext line that they are continuing to do the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers figures. I've been a big fan of the look of these things, and I've always wondered why the Green Ranger didn't have his dragon shell. I kind of suspected they were holding it for a Dragon Zord Imaginext toy, and it looks like that's exactly what they were doing. A Dragon Zord Imaginext kind of playset piece was actually revealed. It does come with a remote-controlled Dragon Flute, and the thing will actually move on a motor and fire missiles when you press the button, and it's got sounds from the show, including the flute song. So pretty cool to see that that's on the way. With NECA, they announced that the Ultimate T2 figure was actually a really popular seller. They were happy with how it did. They, of course, have Sarah Connor and the T1000 available for purchase right now. They've actually shown that they're actually going to go back in time a little bit and do an Ultimate Terminator for T1. They're doing the Tech Noir version of Terminator. When he goes into the club and he's got the overcoat on, the no eyebrows version of Arnold Schwarzenegger. So really excited to see that figure's coming. But they said after they do the Tech Noir version of Terminator, they will go back to the T2 line and do some other characters that perhaps we're still waiting on. So given that we've already got the main character, Sarah Connor, and the T1000, kind of wonder who else is left for them to tackle. I suspect maybe John Connor, but they suggested that there was more than one figure on the way. So really, it's going to be an interesting surprise to see who they tackle for that line. So excited to see more coming from that. But I think the toy company that surprised me the most out of Toy Fair was actually Mezco. And now I've been familiar with the Mezit figures and a few of the other things that Mezco has done that are, kind of play to the vinyl figure crowd or things like that. But I've not really seen other things that they've done outside of that. And I guess they're really pushing now for a 1/12 scale figure line. And there's some pretty cool figures coming from Batman v Superman. They've got some Marvel characters they showed off. Punisher, Captain America, Daredevil. They suggested that Spider-Man is on the way and possibly even a Deadpool figure, which is pretty cool. They're actually making a scale model of the Batmobile from Batman v Superman for their 1/12 scale figures, which is really awesome. And they're tackling Star Trek, which, it's always near and dear to my heart. But Mezco is really a company I've kind of just ignored for a while. It just didn't appeal to me what they put out. But now they're putting out some really cool things, which honestly I probably still won't have the funds for, but at least I can admire more, I guess, what they're able to do. So if you guys haven't checked out what Mezco is doing, definitely look into it. They've got a lot of licenses that they're bringing a lot of cool things to. Well, that's my update for Toy Fair, guys. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, all those things I mentioned, my quick hits, if you will. Really a great showing this year, I think, from a lot of different toy companies. Like I said, Mezco really surprised me in general with what they were offering, but we're finally getting the Human Karai figure. We're getting those X-Men Wave of Marvel Legends figures. I love the giant-size X-Men Minimate box set, and then even the continuation of the T2 line from NECA. So a lot of really cool things to look at. Of course, I haven't hit on everything, and there's probably some stuff out there you guys are really looking forward to that I didn't mention at all. So let me know. I mean, for instance, Jack Pacific is working on a BB-8 droid toy that is almost to scale with the droid in the movie. It looks really, really cool, so look into that. But what were your favorite things from Toy Fair? For me, number one is definitely probably going to be the Marvel Legends line of X-Men Legends, or rather the Hasbro line of Marvel Legends X-Men figures. And number two, if you can't tell, I'm a mark for mutants, probably going to be the giant-size X-Men wave of Minimates coming from Diamond Select, but I am also looking forward to their Star Trek Minimates. But if there is something cool I haven't mentioned, let me know in the comments below what you guys were really into. I think it was a really good show. So thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully I've informed you on some stuff coming out, and hopefully you can do the same for me in the comments. I'll catch you guys next time.